I did a lot of LSD in high school, and this was real LSD that I tested, and I knew it was LSD. It was very good LSD. LSD has the effect of short circuiting serotonin dominance in the brain. It will snap your brain out of trauma induced low brain metabolism. So, for that reason, I think I should get myself some LSD and probably do a high dose of LSD soon. It's going to be a pain in the butt. I'm going to have to use the dark net. But I think it'll help my brain and snap me out of a highly patterned way of thinking. And that's what you can see. Pay attention to these people. You can see how they've been snapped out of a highly patterned way of thinking. Their prefrontal cortex is more active. They are more capable of critical thinking than I believe they would have been if they had not taken LSD. Ray Peat's work on LSD and long-term depression, how LSD fixes long-term depression. Very interesting, because depression is a state of downregulated brain metabolism.
One of the first questions they'll ask is, what do you do? And so I say, I live. And they say, no, I mean, do you work or what? And I say, no, I just live. And they say, well, you must do something, because their whole orientation is towards job, occupation. This is their whole life. Money.
One of the reasons I started this in the first place was because my parents were both very neurotic. And I realized this because I went to a psychiatrist for 9 years. And at the later stages of analysis, I realized just how neurotic and ill and in a world of illusion my parents were, and I decided that I was going to be the one in my family to stop it. It was going to stop with my generation, that I refused to pass this on to my children.
We're doing the hardest work in the world because we're growing, we're trying to change, and that's a lot harder than staying in the same rut and going along year after year doing the same thing.
So specifically, I would love to get some LSD because my brain is stuck in a very habitual negative thought pattern, all to do with how I've just been suffering from insomnia for not only my whole life, but really the last 2 years especially. And from what I remember of LSD from high school, LSD is amazing at taking all of the thoughts that I have now, and it will weave them together, or I will, via my breath on LSD, weave them together into a tapestry of sense. It'll weave them into a beautiful story that makes sense. It's kind of what LSD does. It forces that part of your brain that makes sense of linguistic structures into hyperdrive. So then you make sense of all the linguistic structures. And then you have a new story based on those linguistic structures, which I believe is related to how LSD snaps you out of depression.
If I were in charge of this country, I'd fix it in 25 minutes. Step 1 is repeal the 19th. Women should not be allowed to vote.
It's very interesting to me that these reels all appear on my feed in sequence, and this to me suggests an emergence from the collective unconscious that is at least personal, but I believe reflective of something I've been waiting for a long time.
Step 2 is criminalize abortion. You shouldn't be killing innocent human beings. A third of my generation was murdered.
Yeah, I'm pretty pissed about that. I could do with some more friends, and they were all killed.
Step 3 is repeal the Civil Rights Act. You should be allowed to freely associate. I can be racist with my own property.
This reel is going to make so much sense when you see how this ends, what comes after. I will say, though, that I I look at this guy's Instagram, and I believe that I could actually, and this is why I invested in YouTube, I believe I could just repost all my shorts from YouTube to Instagram, blow up my brand awareness, and then sell out all of my supplements and all my inventory, which again ties into the theme of this video, because the first we're talking about the hippies trying to change. I had fatal insomnia and I had to change everything about the way I lived. I only eat beef, salt, and water. I make all my own supplements. I drink a gallon of green tea a day. Go drive and get spring water. The gallon's down there. I don't want to reach up and shit. Fuck it, whatever, People always like to comment on my spring water. They're like, oh, is that moonshine? They carry this everywhere. I have a lot of those. I'm married with 3 children, 26 years old. Got a company. Just the entire purpose of the company is just to help people not die from preventable health things. So I understand that. Like I went through the fornication free love phase. I did a lot of psychedelics. I found God. I got married. My wife and I are both deeply religious people who have done a lot of psychedelics. I relate to those 60s people, and then I relate to this guy. I'm like, he's talking about the same shit. And it's really like the 60s was the first time that people had what they needed. So they were able to look at the world as it was and think about how they might want it to be. Those 60s kids had it better than all of us. We know that. That's why they were able to start asking those questions. Now those questions have come back again because the answer wasn't solved. It wasn't solved during the American Revolution. It wasn't solved during the French Revolution. All that happened is that we created the possibility that it could be solved in the future. Now let's return to these videos.
My own businesses. It wasn't until 25 fucking minutes ago that the federal government had the balls to tell you you can't. We don't serve your kind here, LMAO. Criminalize the production of pornography, reinstitute the national origins quota system so that our immigrants are white Christians mostly. And
he is craving the same change the hippies sought. Those hippies were acting out Christian values, whether they know it or not. They were Christian monks seeking God. Use whatever language you want to describe it. That's what they're doing. That's what their ancestors would have recognized immediately. I mean, they're all descended from Christians. You think that those Christian beliefs didn't transform in their subconscious mind into exactly what they're doing right now?
Put about 45 million people on a boat and send them back to wherever the fuck they came from because they can't assimilate here. Implement a stay-at-home mom and child tax credit so people actually have children. Deregulate healthcare and education. The reason that they're incredibly bloated, inefficient industries is because the government keeps fucking with them. Recognize Christianity as like broadly the national religion.
If you want a crazy book, read The Immortality Key by Brian Morikatsu, and you will end up wondering if those hippies weren't stumbling onto the ancient origins of Christianity itself. I, an Orthodox Christian, think they were. Why else would they have killed Jesus? I do think that telling the truth is enough of a reason for society to kill you, but there's things you can give people in the form of communion that make them very receptive to the truth. That you would want to initiate them before administering and do so in a safe environment.
Phase out Social Security. You should be responsible for taking care of your grandma, not the federal government. And bring back the death penalty. And ban usury, too. I call it national capitalism. I'm not a national socialist. I'm a national capitalist.
National socialism is not going to make a comeback, but we're going to slingshot around Gargantua.
If I were in charge,
if you use, you're a crazy country with full of crazy people, and everybody.
If you use, if I were in charge.
So this is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I have a theory that, and I've tested this because I've blown up on Meta before with my Facebook group. If you just post the same, like similar things consistently all the time on a Meta platform, you will get a giant audience, but that audience will only want to see you saying those things in that specific format, that specific way. So it's just an easy way to audience capture yourself, and I just don't want to do that. So that's why I invest in YouTube, because YouTube takes so long to become popular that basically you just make so many videos that it becomes more about making the videos than trying to become popular. But I've noticed that because I do need to like make money, you know, like everyone needs money. I'm thinking like I eat like $80 worth of food every day. I want to eat $160 worth of food every day because I want to see if that would make me heal faster from this insomnia and this horrible fucked up mental state that I'm in. So I want to be wealthier than I am now. And I'm going to achieve that by just reposting all of my shorts to Instagram because I already have a ton of shorts on YouTube and I can just repost them like this guy and then, ooh, boom, 45,000 followers. And then angle that into selling out the supplements and everything. And then I mean, really, like, I want the supplements to generate leads for my YouTube channel. The supplements themselves are, it's an encoded message. It's an Ouroboros, weak to warrior, like mountains. Like I am encoding my value system into these supplements. Supports deep and restful sleep, ultra pure, reach your peak, godlike quality. I'm encoding my value system into these supplements, weak to warrior. Makes you think about Merlin. I'm bringing the magic back. That's really what I'm doing. I'm re-enchanting the world myself with the physical objects that I dissipate into the environment. And then people see, and then they, seeing my physical objects, find my online presence, and then they indoctrinate themselves into my worldview with my videos. Because we're not going to go National Socialist as a country. We're going to go, let's say, neo-feudal capitalism. But the feudality will not be futility. It will be feudality that will come from hyper-competent families that make use of their resources effectively and end up gaining so many resources that they effectively rule, which is what I'm doing. My family has already created those circumstances, and I'm already taking advantage of them to do that for my children who already exist. And I've already been doing this for 5 years, and the mere fact that you're watching this means I succeeded. Fun. But basically, though, by taking advantage of this interesting thing I've noticed on Instagram, much harder to get popular on YouTube than Instagram or Facebook. I've already gotten popular on Facebook, so I know that. That's why I'm doing YouTube, because it doesn't mean anything if you get popular on Facebook. You can lose it. It just goes away the second you stop posting. So I can just temporarily spike my online noticeability by implementing this. I'm going to do that later today after I meditate, because I need to meditate every day, 3 times a day, or the PTSD from not sleeping becomes too overwhelming and I feel like I need to rip my skull apart. Though that builds up over time. It gets to that after like days of just frantic activity and research. It builds. It's like this. I need the pressure release valve of meditating. So I'm going to meditate immediately after making this. But I decided to make this video. I felt compelled to make this video right now, because this exact phenomenon that I'm telling you about in this video is occurring right now. And by me making this video and putting it into the collective unconscious via YouTube, I am shifting the current. And you can feel free to watch. It'll become apparent that I'm shifting the current to those who are watching more and more. I mean, already fatal insomnia is being talked about more and more. If I'd killed myself, no one would have ever discovered fatal insomnia. I think that it's only by me telling everyone I ever met about this that it even entered the collective unconscious to the degree where they've actually documented it. Truly. So without further ado, let us see more of my plans.
If I were in charge,
If you're a crazy country full of crazy people, and everybody's just trying to suck the last few dollars out of this.
If you use xylitol,
I think tooth decay is 90% nutrition, 10% what you put on your teeth. As long as you're making sure they're not covered in sugar all the time. Like if drinking soda all the time, very bad, sugar and citric acid. No. But as long as you're not doing that, raw liver, fish eggs, raw egg yolk, you need those fat-soluble raw vitamins. Weston A. Price documented this very well in his book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration.
you'll stop tooth decay.
We're a crazy country full of crazy people, and everybody's just trying to suck the last few dollars out of this bloated pig corpse of an empire before the end. And I'm no different. Watch my special and subscribe to my pod. What am I going to fucking sit here? What am I going to go preach on a fucking mountain? We got to make a little money here. But make no mistake, I mean, if I'm wrong, and I'd love to be wrong, but if your attitude or your idea is that the population is going to get smarter, healthier, and more adept at problem solving, you're on fucking crack. What happens next is we'll just have, you know, these giant oscillating swings between right and left. And then I think, you know, eventually it'll get to a point where large areas in the country are unlivable for a myriad of reasons, perhaps crime or homelessness, climate, whatever. Very, you know, well-off or well-connected people will have these kind of enclaves that are, this is already happening. And then there'll be, you know, a fight to be in one of those two groups. And then eventually a dictator, a strong man, somewhere down the line, some man or woman will come in and go, this system's fucked. I am going to run things. And they will run things in a way, and it will probably won't be for the best, but like the system will collapse. But I don't know if we'll see it, but it will collapse. There's no way it doesn't. It will collapse to a degree. And someone will come in and go, yeah, these elections are all fake and it doesn't matter anyway. Why do you fuckers need to vote? Here's a coupon for a chicken sandwich. And people go, I like chicken. And then, you know, people just go, fuck it. They don't care. And then you go, there'll be Netflix and there'll be Domino's and you'll sit in your house and they'll say, well, you can't drive today because of the climate. And people go, yeah, it's Tuesday. Can't get in my car because of climate. And you'll sit there and they'll feed you poison and you'll watch TV. And a few people will riot, but very few because most people will be pacified by the goodies, which they'll still probably have. And, you know, the leader will come on and tell, like, well, they'll be like, hello, everyone. And you'll go, hey, and it'll be a celebrity. It'll be someone you know. It'll be someone you're very familiar with, and they'll say a couple of things and be like, it's not that bad, is it? And they go, no, it's not that bad. And they'll feed you the propaganda, and you won't remember when you were free, and you won't remember. And most people will be fine with that, but me and you will be dead. And it won't matter. You know, and we'll have experienced the best of it. We'll remember when you could get in a car without a tracking device. We'll remember when you didn't have a fucking tracking device attached to you at all times. We'll remember when you could say what the fuck you want, alienate people, piss them off, and no one really cared, and it didn't matter because you could wake up the next day and say, sorry, I was drunk, and it wasn't on fucking Twitter. People didn't have a record of what you did and what you said and where you were and who you fucked and everything else. We will remember true freedom. We're one of the last groups of people to actually be free. And we should all thank God for that because the hellscape that's about to be created is going to be so bad, they won't even know how bad it is. It won't even feel like they're in prison. Because those offices we talked about, people, they get to like them. Oh, there's creamer today. French vanilla, it's your favorite. Ugh. It's coming. It's coming and it's going to be so bad it won't even feel bad. But we'll be like, shit, remember when you could do all those things you can't do anymore. But, you know, and there'll be a few people that remember it, and then they'll take all those books about that shit and burn the fuck out of them. They'll go, well, those aren't good. Racism, homophobia, it's like burn, burn, burn. And people will forget when you were free, and they will just kind of create a society based on goodies, little rewards, and the addiction to celebrity, where our leaders will all be celebrities who will tell you on closed circuit television how good things are going. And you'll go, good, thanks.
Unless someone already saw all of this coming and has spent the last 10 years preparing, unless someone's bloodline saw this coming and spent generations preparing their offspring, unless some great people in the past saw this coming and founded a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to putting firearms in the hands of every single able-bodied man who could do something about it.
Thanks. That's what's going to happen. We're a